Welcome back to Ink and Fitness, you guys. For those who are new to my channel, my name is Anthony. I am someone who went from skinny to fit, and these videos are just purely educational. So this way, if you guys are also on the skinnier side of things, you can take what you're learning and apply them, be consistent with them above all, and get your own results inside of your own fitness journey. In terms of today's video topic, we're going to be talking about muscle building and dieting mistakes that you guys must avoid at all costs whatsoever, right? So these are some of the mistakes that I've personally made that obviously I couldn't avoid just because I was too new, didn't really do much research at the time. Even now, there's still new research coming out, right, in terms of hypertrophy training, dieting, how much grams of protein you should eat per day, yada, 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 right? So it's an ever evolving information load when it comes to fitness and health. But these mistakes that I've made and these mistakes that you guys should be avoiding is definitely going to help you out. So this way you all are steered onto the correct path. You guys know exactly what you should be doing, and you're going to save years upon years on your own fitness progress. So let's get right into things for today by first showing you guys what these mistakes cost me. Cost me years upon years of progress. These were like the first handful of years, probably like the first 3 years, not five handful of years, right? 3 years probably of me first starting my fitness journey. As you can tell, I mean, fairly lean, fairly toned, right? You can see some muscle definition on some of these both of these pictures, right? But it's nothing that's wow or fantastic, right? It's nothing that's amazing or eye popping. It's okay. It's just an okay physique, right? I'd even argue that it's like borderline fine, right? In my opinion, fine is lower than okay, right? Okay is something, that's okay, right? But fine is just kind of like me, right? Um, that's how I view it as, right? Kind of my physique at the time here, a few years back. Just it was just nothing incredible. It was just something that's fine. Um, these mistakes cost me obviously years of progress. I was doing the wrong things, and obviously I was stuck looking the way that I do inside of these pictures, right? As a matter of fact, these mistakes even caused me to be out for almost a full year inside of the gym. Right? I think it was 8 months exactly where I didn't work out at all whatsoever, but I actually ended up getting hernias and I needed to get them removed. So I ended up getting them removed, and obviously I had to go through the entire recovery process, all that kind of fun stuff, right? And so with that meant that I couldn't work out for the next several months. Otherwise, I was gonna rupture what they, did inside of me to get rid of those hernias. And obviously, I did not want that, and it would have caused me a lot more pain and a lot more suffering. And yeah, it would not have been a good time all around. So, number one, the first mistake is not training hard enough. Seriously, like I would not train hard enough. Like I would just half-ass all of my reps. As soon as I started to feel the burn, I would just stop my set altogether. I would do the typical 4 sets by 12 reps on every single exercise, with light weight, right? I would just focus on the form. Yes, I would focus on the form, but I over prioritize my form instead of focusing on progressively overloading, right? Having a healthy mixture of focusing on form and progressive overload. And I would also do rest times of 60 to 90 seconds. I'm trying to think. Okay, no, perfect. Just wanted to make sure that I actually put the solution in place for you guys because I want to make sure that I not only tell you the mistakes that I've made so that way you guys can avoid it, but also there's some solutions in place so that way you guys can go ahead and apply those solutions. So that way you know the correct way of doing things. So in terms of how I view training now and what I do for my own training sessions now to this day, I now train with plenty of intensity. I do 2 sets till failure with a rep range of 6 to 8 reps. That's kind of the sweet spot of when you should hit failure if you pick a moderately heavy enough weight, not too heavy where you need to ego lift or anything like that, swing your body around, and not too light to the point where you can do 15 reps, 20 reps of that same weight, but just heavy enough where you can control the form, be super strict with your form, and get a really, really great workout in where you can actually hit failure and focus all of your attention on working that muscle group that you intend to work out. So, with me saying that, I not only focused on my form, but also progressive overload. And for those of you who don't know what progressive overload is, I would recommend checking out the past 3 videos I've made because it covers progressive overload more in detail of what that is exactly, the different types of weight to progressive overload, so that way you guys are clear on that. I'm not gonna get deep into it in this video just because I've mentioned it plenty of times in the other videos. So feel free to check out my past videos if you guys are looking for clarity on that. Um, I don't overdo it on the way down of an exercise movement. I only follow my 3-1 explode counting scheme. So 3 means 3 seconds, 3 seconds on the way down of an exercise movement. So for example, if we were doing a bicep curl, 3 seconds on the way down of the bicep curl. 1 means 1 second. So when you are fully locked out, when you are at the bottom portion of the movement, so bicep curl example again. So once we're all the way down, we're locked out, we hold that, we pause there for 1 second, exactly, just a 1 second pause, and then explode means that we just explode on the way up, right, on that concentric part of the movement. And so that's what I do for each of my reps. That's the count scheme that I have in my head running all the time. And with training in that way, you really maximize each single rep within each single set that you do. You really work the muscle that you're targeting. It hurts a lot in a good way, and you wake up feeling sore the next morning, right? And that's what you want. Obviously, being sore is not a great indicator if you made muscle growth or not, or have made progress in your muscle growth. But it does feel really good to be sore because you know that you're working hard and what you're doing is working its magic essentially. Um, Apart from that, I do rest times of 3 minutes. I should have put 3 to 5 minutes in this specific bullet point. But 5 minutes, the only reason you would need 5 minutes worth of rest time is if you're doing compound lifts like bench squats or deadlifts, because those do take a lot out of you, right? They take a lot of energy out of you. You feel out of breath after you perform a single set of them. And so you need a little bit more time to recover from that. 3 minutes is more so for isolation exercises like bicep curls or tricep pushdowns or lateral raises or rear delt flies, those kind of exercises that you only target one single muscle group opposed to compound lifts that target multiple or that involve, excuse me, multiple muscle groups. And apart from that, just the last point here, I only do 4 to 6 exercises per training session. You don't need 8, 10, 12, right? However many exercise movements per training session. You only need 4 to 6, and you need to make sure the quality of you performing those exercises is dialed in and on point because that's what matters most. It's not about the quantity, it's about the quality. Number 2, the mistake that I made is not tracking my eating, right? I had no idea if I was making progress. I would not even track my weight apart from this as well, so I really had no idea if I was growing or not. Because having the data is very, very important, believe it or not. You should believe it because data is everything. You can't run a good business without relying on the data or the metrics, right? Doesn't matter what business it is, restaurant business, online business, personal training business, you need that data, right? You just need the numbers to know where you're at, what needs to be fixed up, what needs to be tweaked, so this way you can keep progressing. For me, I was just not tracking my eating, not tracking my weight, so I had no idea how much of something I was eating, and I had no idea how much I was weighing to pretty much just say to myself whether or to justify and validate myself if I was growing or not. And so I was just kind of like throwing darts at a dartboard, but blindfolded, which is the dumbest thing ever, right? Because you're going to end up hitting someone in the eye by doing that. And so that's what I was doing, but except the darts were going inside my own eyeball. So don't make that silly mistake. Actually track your food. Actually track your weight as well. You can easily just track your weight on the Notepad app on your phone. So just buy a scale. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. Buy one. Weigh yourself once per week, specifically in the morning with just your underwear on. No food, no water in your system, and after you've gone to the bathroom and done your necessities, you've pooped and you peed. So that's the way to get the most accurate reading of your weight. In terms of tracking your food, just use MyFitnessPal. You don't need to use any other app, really, in my opinion. If you want to, go ahead. But MyFitnessPal is just something that I've used for a long time, and I just prefer it. So that's the one I would recommend. So I was not tracking my eating. I wouldn't hit my goal of 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight that I weigh. And now, listen, guys, I know there's a lot of studies out there that say like eating 0.5 grams to 0.7 grams per pound of body weight worth of protein is the sweet spot, right? It's the most optimized way, quote unquote, to hit your protein goals. Because if you eat 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, that's not going to do anything for muscle growth. It's not going to make you any bigger or anything like that. And essentially, it's just excess protein that you don't need. All those studies, fucking phenomenal, right? They're great. They're reliable, and obviously, they wouldn't be called studies if they weren't accurate in terms of what they're representing, in terms of what they're studying in their experiments. In this specific case, protein consumption, right? My rule of thumb, what I personally just like to do, just to keep things very simple for myself, you guys don't have to do this. If you guys just want to eat 0.7 grams of protein per pound of body weight that you weigh, perfectly fine. Do it. Just be consistent with it. That's it. But for me, I'd rather overeat in protein, even though there's an excess of protein, right? And that's okay. At least for me, it's okay. I'd rather overeat in protein than undereat in it. So that's why I put 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. And it's just easier. I mean, you can do the math, right? It's not complicated math whatsoever. You just do 0.7 times your current body weight, and then boom, that's the number of protein, the number of grams of protein that you need to eat, right? It's not complicated math. I guess I'm just lazy like that, I guess, right? I just rather just bump it up to the nearest whole number and just eat what I need to eat as far as that goes. Nothing wrong with overeating in protein, unless you have some kind of predisposed kidney condition. But I am not a medical professional, so do not quote me on that. See your medical professional if you do have some sort of kidney issues, because I know if you overeat in protein, it does cause some troubles for your kidneys. But again, you have to overeat way above, what you're used to. So I'm talking about hundreds of grams worth of protein. But again, I am not a medical professional, so do not quote me on that, because I am not responsible if something happens. Jeez. But there's that, my little tangent on that. Yeah, and the final point here is, for a little bit there, I just had an eat everything in sight mentality. So I kind of was in that dirty bulk mentality for a little bit there. For a few months, I'd actually say. Not like a full year or anything like that, but just for a few months. Because I was tired of tracking when I did track, right, which was like every now and then, which wasn't anything great, because again, that's inconsistent and not reliable data, and essentially, I would have been better off just not tracking at all whatsoever. But obviously, things have changed. Now I track, or at least I used to track consistently, because now I'm on a cutting phase, and I'm just more so about intuitively eating. So, just kind of hitting my protein and minimizing carbs, and just eating veggies as well, so that way I can feel good, that sort of good stuff. Now, I just got on a little bit of a side tangent there, but for a little bit back then, I got into a little bit of a eat everything in sight mentality. You guys don't want to do that as well. You don't want a dirty bulk, because that's what's going to help you, or that's what's going to essentially allow for you guys to gain excess calories that you don't need, or excess fat that you don't need whatsoever, right? That's actually to do a lot more harm to you in the long run, right? Because when you eat an excess amount of calories, specifically mass amounts of excess in calories, because people who usually dirty bulk, they just, they eat everything in sight, right? So they eat desserts, they eat savory foods, they eat junk food, they eat cheat meals, they eat everything, right? Doesn't matter what it is, they just put it in their mouth. That's what she said. But you don't want to do that. It's not fun. You feel like shit. Your stomach's all bloated all the time. You're constantly having brain fog. You feel fatigued a lot more easier. You fatigue a lot more easier. You can barely fucking walk up a flight of stairs without running out of breath at the top. So, I would avoid that altogether. I'm not saying to cut out cheat meals altogether. What I am saying though is to be mindful of not overdoing it, because I believe, like, if you are bulking, cheat meals are essentially a way to help you out, right? They help you out tremendously. they not only give you a boost of calories, but it does make the bulk a lot more sustainable and enjoyable for yourself. Because at some point, you're going to get bored of eating the same shit every day, if you are eating the same shit every day. So it's nice to mix it up every now and then. And just to give you the guys, just to give you guys the solutions. I mean, I already just pretty much gave you the solutions in the last slide. But in case you didn't catch it, or in case you were, you know, in La La Land, whatever it is, track your macros, track your calories. Use MyFitnessPal for that. Weigh yourself once per week. Use the Notepad app on your phone to track your weight. It's just once per week again. First thing in the morning. Not butt ass naked. If you want to do it butt ass naked, go ahead, but just put on your underwear. After you've used the bathroom, so after you've pooped, you peed, no food, no water in your system. Don't eat everything in sight. I always recommend eating slightly above your maintenance calories, so 300 to 500 above your maintenance calories. And hit your protein goals. Whether that be 1 gram per pound of body weight or 0.7 grams per pound of body weight. Right? Just make sure you're being consistent with it, you're hitting it, and that you're not steering off the wrong direction. And if I want to just kind of retract, or not retract, but just kind of reverse a little bit here, in terms of eating in a slight caloric surplus, the 300 to 500 calorie sweet spot, eating above your maintenance, there will be a certain point, where you will plateau in weight. Right? And for those who don't know what plateau in weight means, it means that you're stuck at a certain weight for a prolonged period of time. When you experience that, that means that you need to start adding 300 to 500 more calories to, you know, what you're already eating, so that way you can start gaining weight again. And you're going to just repeat that same process throughout your entire bulking cycle whenever you need it, right? Whenever you plateau and weight. And it's going to happen a few different times. So it's not just going to happen once or twice, I guess depending on your body, right? But it'll happen sometimes throughout your bulking phase. Number 3 is not sticking to one workout program. So before, I would always hop from workout program to workout program. I did this because I thought it was the training program's fault for not letting me see the results I want to see. It's a load of shit. I could never measure my progress inside of the gym. Very true. And it made progressively overloading near impossible because I was switching programs so often. Also very true. So the way that I train now is that I always stick to one workout program for months at a time, specifically 4 to 6 months. I feel like that's a really good sweet spot. And also that's the amount of time that a bulking phase and a cutting phase lasts for. I am now able to progressively overload a lot more effectively, which is honestly the best thing you can do for yourself, because progressive overload is the foundation for hypertrophy training. So you need that. And just by sticking with one workout program at a time, I'm able to actually measure all the exercises that I'm doing, right? In terms of weight, am I progressing? Am I able to go up in weight the next week? That sort of stuff. And then lastly, I'm able to see if I'm actually getting stronger on the exercises that I perform. So that's also a big one, because you want to make sure you're getting stronger and that you're progressing in general. And if you guys are wondering where you guys should log your workouts in, there's a shitload of apps out there. Personally, I just use the Notepad app on my phone. So I only use the Notepad app for my phone to track my weight and to track my workouts. And in terms of tracking my calories, I use MyFitnessPal, like I said before. So that's where I make all my programs, and that's where I track everything as well. So that way I have everything in a nice, organized manner instead of hopping from app to app. And some of those apps, like, you have to pay for premium features, right? Features that you might need, might not. But either way, I'm not spending my time downloading apps like that. I know not every app is like that, but I don't feel like searching up different apps for training, for logging my workouts. I'd rather just do it on my Notepad app, which is a lot easier. Number 4, the mistake that I made is cutting too early. A lot of you skinny guys, this is the same mentality that I had back then. A lot of you guys out there are too scared to gain fat, right? You're like, oh no, I'm starting to gain fat. I'm starting to, look a little bit pudgy. I need to start cutting. But you're not going to cut shit. You're not cutting shit. You're cutting like literally 0.00001% of the muscle that you just gained from what you did in the gym for the past 2 to 4 weeks. Right? And this is something that I would do, because I didn't want to lose my leanness. But newsflash for you all, and I wish someone told me this, if you are eating in a surplus amount of your maintenance calories, you are going to gain fat. It does not matter if it's chicken and broccoli and rice that you're eating, or if it's junk food or whatever it is, right? You will gain fat if you're eating in a surplus. There's no going around it. There's no fighting it, and there's no magic pill out there right now that will allow for you to avoid gaining the fat from doing a proper bulking phase. So do not cut early. Just stick to doing a proper bulking phase, and a proper bulking phase should last anywhere between 3 to 4 months. If you're wanting to do it for longer, if your body and mind can take it, then do it. Right? You also don't want to do excessive cardio at all whatsoever. Like once a week is fine if you just want to do it, right? To keep your heart healthy, which is, I always advocate for that, right? Because most of you guys are not, unless you are, right? Completely fine. But most of you guys are not going to compete for a show or anything like that, right? You're just wanting to gain muscle, look good, right? For yourself or for different reasons. So you don't need to do all these crazy things, right? Just keep things super simple, because that's what's going to allow for you to stick with this fitness journey and not steer off in the wrong direction when it comes to it. So do not do excessive cardio if your main objective is to gain muscle, gain mass. Once per week is just fine. Nothing crazy at all. Main thing I'm keeping in check is my eating, getting some steps in. Yeah, that's for me. Because I am in a cutting phase. I put that here. I don't know why I'm just realizing that I put that there. Why I put that there just now. But yeah, getting steps in is also a great way or a great form of cardio if you guys are wanting to do it. It's very less taxing on the body, on the joints as well, opposed to running or doing, or just running in general, right? Stairmaster is also a great form of cardio as well. But all in all, keep the cardio to a minimum if you're bulking, if you're wanting to gain mass, because again, you are skinny, so you want to give yourself a fighting chance to gain the weight that you want to gain. So by not doing cardio, or at least limiting it to it once or twice per week for small sessions, right? Not like an hour-long session or anything like that. I'm thinking like 15-20 minutes is good enough. You'll do yourself a favor by keeping it that way, right? You'll actually progress a little bit quicker, quote unquote, opposed to if you were to have someone who did cardio 5 times a week for like 45 minutes to an hour long, right? Because that guy is likely not gonna, he will make gains, but it's not the amount of gains that he could be making if he kept that cardio down to a minimum. Because you don't want to look like, let's see, a skeleton with abs like I did back in the past, because I did a cutting phase too early back then, and yeah, it definitely made my abs pop out, but I was still skinny. So that's why I say skeleton with abs. Last but not least, we have supplements, and thinking they would do the trick. Before I was a big believer in like supplements would just do all the work for me. Protein powder, BCAAs, like those kind of different supplements. Like I thought they would do the trick for me. But now that I realize, or now that I've had more knowledge, I've done my research more intensively, I realize that most supplements out there are just garbage, in my opinion. Excluding multivitamins, fish oils, minerals, those important supplements that the body does need. Excluding those, so not mentioning those, but like BCAAs or mass gainers or anything else out there, right? I believe that they're truly bullshit, except for the last exclusion, except for protein powder and creatine. So those are the only two that I will ever buy. I still use them right now, just because it does, it's heavily researched and it really does say what they're gonna do. So protein powder is just helping you reach your protein goals, and creatine just helping you with muscle recovery, ATP production, so giving you more energy inside of your workouts, and all that kind of good stuff. Excuse me. So I only think those two supplements are worth your time in getting if you have the budget for it. You definitely do not need them whatsoever, though. It's not you have to get them or you're limiting yourself, right, for your muscle growth. It's just kind of like, if you have the budget for it, go ahead and get it, but you don't need it at all whatsoever. So now I only buy creatine. Now I only buy creatine and protein powder, any multivitamins I need, those sort of, important, those other important supplements, right? The ones that you actually need, the ones that actually work, right? Don't expect these supplements to do all the work for you, though. You still need to put in the work. You need to put in the effort. Most importantly, you need to be consistent with what you're doing inside of the gym, right? And it's not just inside of the gym that you need to be consistent with, it's also outside of the gym that you need to be consistent with. So your eating, your nutrition, those sort of important things that you need to be consistent with, right? Because if you want to see results, good results, maximizing your results, then you need to be consistent with all three pillars of fitness. And for those who don't know what the three pillars of fitness are, it's training, nutrition, and recovery. Training, nutrition, recovery. You cannot be just consistent with one out of the three areas or two out of the three areas. You need to be consistent with three out of the three areas of fitness, pillars of fitness, if you want to make good gains. So be consistent with all three of those pillars of fitness. You'll do yourself a favor by doing so. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I missed. Just be consistent all around with everything, right? Know your reason why for wanting to get fit. Hold on to it. Don't let it go. And most importantly, and give it your all, right? If you're working out, you're doing it for a reason. So might as well just go all in with it, right? I'm not saying you have to sacrifice, certain things, your favorite foods, your favorite hangout sessions, dates, birthday parties, parties in general, or anything like that. Because fitness should just be incorporated into your lifestyle and shouldn't be your whole life. So just do something that you can be consistent with and sustainable with. But most importantly, just be consistent with, right? Because that's what's going to allow for you to drive results and get results and keep progressing and keep staying on this path. But that concludes it for today's video, you guys. Comment down below if there's something else in specific that you all want to see. Make sure to like and subscribe. If you are someone looking for one-to-one coaching, if you're someone looking for a more personalized approach to this whole fitness thing, then feel free to check out the link down below in the description where I have the link for my one-to-one coaching. So check that out. Till the next one though, guys, take care. Much love to you all. Peace.